as a community can do better.
What do you want to tell your children about this moment?
We need reforms.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, we stand together.
Everybody's here together, black, white, brown, everybody.
A platform for progress in our community.
We need to do a better job.
I want to show that we can be peaceful.
This is just as much our fight as it is yours.
Discussing the problems of racial inequality and solutions to combat discrimination in a conversation for change.
We'll be able to build on this.
I never in a million years thought I would embrace a cop like that.
From Wish TV, we stand together.
Many recent demonstrations and events around the country, even around the world, have spearheaded conversations. And at Wish TV, we're giving leaders and the community an opportunity to share their voice. We call the series We Stand Together.
Tonight, we bring in Rebecca Sutton, the president of Leadership Indianapolis. She says we can't address these critical issues unless we start speaking to one another about them honestly. Here is her story. Within the city of Indianapolis lies the home to many groups and organizations. In this building on North Alabama Street is the home of Leadership Indianapolis, helping develop the leaders of tomorrow. It's an initiative that connects and inspires volunteer leaders from all over. Rebecca Sutton is the president of Leadership Indianapolis, and for her, the work has no limit. As she says, their mission is to educate, inspire, connect, and mobilize to strengthen, and she has a passion to get it done.
This has actually been a high priority for our organization for quite some time, even before the most recent events started unfolding. And so internally, one of we've been focused on for the last few years is really making sure that in our hiring practices, we are thoughtful about making sure that there's broad representation on our staff. In terms of the most recent events, what we've tried to do is what we do in all of our programs, which is continue to bring people together to have honest, in-depth conversations about really challenging and important issues. So we've been gathering some of our alumni together because they work in different sectors. They work in different fields. They have a variety of experiences. So we've been trying to bring them together and facilitate conversations where they can learn from one another, that they can process the events that are unfolding in our city, and also really think about being solution-minded. How do we as community leaders move our city forward?
The death of George Floyd.
I think it's undeniable that it has elevated the conversation. And again, it has made it impossible to not talk about race and racism, particularly in regard to systems. And you know, for us, again, we think a lot about making sure that there is diversity in decision-making roles in our community. And you see there's a much greater push for that in our city, in our state, in our country, and around the world as a direct result of these events that we're seeing, which are undeniable evidence of systemic racism and the impact that it has on our entire community. I think it's very sad and appalling that it's taken us to now to have these conversations and to try to push for this kind of change. I think the spark that the incident with George Floyd's murder, I think that it's not only about that one incident, it is about the accumulation of those kinds of things that we've been seeing. And it's really not up for debate what happened. Because of the time that we're living in, there's video evidence. Ahmaud Arbery, there's video evidence. And so that's not really a conversation about whether or not this happened. We're watching it happen. And so I think there's an accumulation of agitation that nothing is being done, even though we're watching these events happen over and over and over again. So, and the murder of George Floyd was just so egregious that I think it was just the thing that put everyone over the top to say, if this doesn't cause us to do something, what does? Like, how much more of an egregious event do we all have to witness before we say enough is enough?
It's within these walls that many times movement goes unnoticed for these individuals as they try to build a better community, incorporating programs such as Opportunity Indianapolis, Civic Boot Camp, and much more.
So in our programs, we've always tried to be very intentional about bringing together a very diverse group in terms of lived experience, perspective, sector, all of that. So really staying very committed to that in all of our programming.
Addressing systemic racism.
In terms of this year, some of the programming that we're doing, we're actually in the process right now of putting together, we're going to do a podcast club in which we're going to be listening to the Seeing White podcast and inviting folks to have conversations about, and again, really learning about the history of events to how we got to where we are. And then really thinking about what is the role that each of us play in terms of dismantling those systems and really committing to leading everybody in our community, not just the folks that have traditionally had leadership roles.
It's about an openness and willingness to share and learn.
As a team, we've made the commitment to making sure that at least 50% of the people that we are highlighting in the convo are people of color, and particularly putting an emphasis on Black men to try to make sure that there are images of Black men as leaders in our community, as positive contributors to our community, to try to counteract the unfortunate common narrative, which is usually comprised of mugshots and negative stories. So we think it's really, really important that as Leadership Indianapolis, as the leadership organization that carries our city's name, that we make sure that it is clear that leadership in the city looks like a lot of different people and comes from a lot of different neighborhoods and is executed in a lot of different ways.
And Sutton says the heart of what they do is the belief that community leadership is at its best and at its strongest when it is multicultural, bi-generational, and collaborative. Remember, you can also listen to our We Stand Together podcast at any time. And tonight's episode and others are found at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.
From Wish TV, we stand together. Watch, read, listen, and be a part of the conversation online at wishtv.com and when you follow Wish TV on Facebook. Find more episodes of We Stand Together and other podcasts from Wish TV online anytime at allindianapodcastnetwork.com. allindianapodcastnetwork.com.